Elected officials have a pretty clear scope. The state government controls the state, the city government controls the city. It's pretty simple, right? Well, a conversation between Boise City Council members got our attention this week. Earlier, we talked about regulation and how Idaho has, well, virtually no laws about what a landlord can charge a tenant that is, in late fees. Has no laws when it comes to that. I mean, they can charge whatever they want. Boise City Council member Lisa Sanchez proposed an ordinance, though, to change that. Is that the city's job, though? At least one council member believes it should be the state's job. So should the city take the reins in capping late fees locally, or should they wait for the state? Here's Andrew Bartline.
In terms of protections for renters, Idaho's unlike most of its neighboring states. Washington, Oregon, Utah, Nevada. They all have laws restricting landlords from charging excessive late rent fees. It's a disconnect Boise City Council member Lisa Sanchez aims to address.
What I've decided to do is to focus on those areas of the law where we can offer some limited protections to our renters.
Currently, renters must pay whatever late penalty Idaho landlords choose to list in the lease agreement.
When you don't have some clear guidance, there is no real understanding of what a reasonable amount to charge for a late fee.
Councilmember Sanchez proposes a city ordinance to cap late fee penalties at 5% or $50, whichever is greater. The City Council discussed the proposed ordinance during Tuesday's Work Ahead meeting.
So what you have before you is a proposal for a city ordinance to promote renter fairness.
The proposed ordinance received support from Councilmember Patrick Bagent.
In my mind, protecting vulnerable consumers is always a value, regardless of how tight the housing market is.
However, other council members questioned whether regulating late rent penalties is a job better suited for the state legislature.
The place for this being the state, ideally, and perhaps giving that a chance to go through the state before we did something city level. And so I think that's kind of my initial reaction to it.
Councilmember Holly Woodings is in favor of waiting through the 2023 legislative session and allowing state lawmakers the chance to first pass a similar law themselves. Council President Elaine Clegg echoed the position.
Wonder if you have an appetite to do that with this.
I think there's nothing wrong with us moving in tandem. If the folks at the Idaho State Legislature pass something, wonderful. Hopefully it'll be something even better than what we're shooting for at the city. But if for some reason it's not successful, the people who live in Boise, Idaho will have that protection.
And it's not to say the state legislature hasn't tried this before. They have. Recent as 2021. Senate Bill 1088 aimed to make all fees imposed on a tenant, quote, reasonable. No hard numbers defined exactly what reasonable means. The bill passed the Senate but died in the House.
It's my lived experience now. I know the urgency of having some guidelines in place, some protections in place for folks right now.
Boise Democrat Allie Robbie tells the 208 she is working on draft legislation similar to the previously failed bill. But there's no guarantee the legislation will have success in the upcoming session.
I'm going to continue moving forward, completely welcome the ideas and support of my colleagues on the Boise City Council.
And Councilmember Sanchez isn't going to wait on the sidelines for someone else to get the job done.
Ideally, I would love to see this legislation be put in place before the end of the year, and if not then, at some point in the coming year.
We also got in touch with the Idaho Asset Building Network. They're looking to propose some state legislation, or draft legislation, I should say, to enhance renter protections as well. But they add they have nothing specific in their draft language that would regard late penalties specifically. And Councilmember Sanchez brings up a good idea when I asked her, where do you derive that this should be something regulated outside just our neighboring states? There is state law that regulates storage units. That late fee, if you're late to pay for your storage unit, 20%. For your mortgage, state law, 5%.
True.
So homeowners have a cap on what they can be penalized, but renters don't. So she says this would equal the playing field.
And this question of whether the city or the state should do this thing, I think back to the hands-free or cell phone laws that kind of peppered throughout the state until the state did it and made it a statewide thing. It was in Meridian, then it was in Blaine County. So depending on where you were, there were different rules when it comes to that as well. So yep, I can see that going forward as well. So whether or not the city should and wait for the state, I mean, that's kind of an argument that you can kind of go, well, It's been done before. So
Guess we'll find out.
All right, thanks, Andrew.